Cold calling technology platforms, AI enhancements revolutionizing lead generation. Cold calling in 2025. The numbers are brutal, but the opportunity is real. Cold calling is still one of the fastest ways to create B2B pipeline, but in 2025, it's also one of the most punishing channels to run without the right system. Across recent benchmarks, the average dial-to-meeting success rate sits around 2.3%, which means most teams are fighting for small wins with a lot of effort. That's exactly why cold calling technology platforms, especially AI-enhanced ones, are becoming the difference between busy and booked. What's changed isn't the value of a live conversation, it's the friction around getting one. Spam filters, unknown number avoidance, and scattered data make manual dialing feel like a tax on your team's time. If you're running a cold calling team the old way, you're often paying SDRs to listen to rings, clean records, and log outcomes instead of having real conversations. The teams winning now, including modern cold calling companies and high-performing in-house sales development orgs, aren't dialing harder. They're using AI to shift rep time toward live selling, while tightening targeting and coaching so each conversation has a higher chance of becoming a meeting. In other words, better inputs, faster throughput, and a tighter feedback loop. What a cold calling technology platform actually is, and why it's replacing tools. A cold calling technology platform isn't just a dialer, it's the system that turns outbound phone activity into measurable pipeline. For most B2B teams, that includes dialing, list management, CRM writeback, call recording, analytics, and the AI layer that makes everything faster and more consistent. When we talk to leaders evaluating cold calling services or a B2B sales agency, the biggest gap we see is assuming one tool will fix what's really a workflow problem. AI is now mainstream in sales operations, not experimental. HubSpot reported that 43% of salespeople use AI in their sales process, largely for content creation, personalization, and automation that supports outreach. At the company level, research suggests roughly 75% of B2B companies plan to use AI for cold calling workflows by 2025. So AI-enabled is quickly becoming table stakes. This matters for any team deciding whether to build internally or lean on sales outsourcing. If your stack doesn't connect dialing, data, coaching, and follow-up, you'll struggle to answer basic questions like which lists produce meetings, which talk tracks convert, and what does a qualified conversation actually cost? Platforms solve that by turning outbound calling into an operationally managed channel instead of a daily scramble. How AI enhancements change the math. More conversations, not just more dials. AI-powered dialers improve results by attacking the biggest bottleneck in B2B cold calling: wasted time between real conversations. Vendor benchmarks show manual dialing connect rates around 8 to 12%, while AI auto-dialers often reach 28 to 35% by dialing smarter, skipping non-productive outcomes, and prioritizing higher likelihood numbers. The practical impact is that your SDRs spend more of their day talking because the platform does the weighting, filtering, and routing. Parallel dialers push this further by dialing multiple numbers at once and only connecting the rep when a human answers. Tools in this category commonly advertise throughput around 150 plus dials per hour and roughly 7 to 10 live conversations per rep per hour, which is a major shift from manual workflows. Even if you don't hit the top end, the direction is what matters. Your outbound sales agency or internal SDR pod can generate more qualified conversations without increasing headcount. The cost side moves too. Retail AI reports 3.4 times more live connections and 78% lower cost per call versus legacy power dialers. Exactly why the best cold calling services are investing in AI dialing rather than just hiring more cold callers. Implementation: how to stand up an AI-enabled SDR engine without burning your lists. The biggest implementation mistake we see is buying an AI dialer and expecting it to fix everything. If your data is messy, your ICP is vague, or your talk track is generic, AI simply helps you fail faster by churning through more records per day with the same weak conversion. A strong rollout starts with targeting and messaging, then uses technology to amplify what already works. A practical path is a 60-day pilot with one SDR pod. Run the AI dialer with voicemail detection and local presence. Keep a control group on the existing process and compare connect rate, talk time ratio, and dial-to-meeting conversion side by side. This keeps the conversation grounded in outcomes rather than tool features, which is especially important if you're evaluating sales agency options or comparing SDR agencies. Within the pilot, prioritize list discipline, verified direct dials, clean fields, and consistent dispositions, so your reporting isn't compromised. Integrations are the other make-or-break detail. Your dialer, CRM, and sales engagement platform must write back cleanly, or you'll lose visibility and introduce compliance risk. Duplicate records, wrong time zones, recalling opted-out contacts. Once that plumbing is right, AI can automate call logging, summarize notes, and draft follow-up, so your reps spend less time on admin and more time in live conversations. AI doesn't win deals for you. It buys your team more at-bats, then exposes whether your targeting, messaging, and coaching are strong enough to convert. Conversation intelligence, turning calls into coaching, not just activity. Once you've increased connects, the next lever is call quality. Conversation intelligence tools record and transcribe calls, then surface patterns, objections, competitor mentions, next steps, and talk-to-listen ratios, so coaching becomes evidence-based. That's critical when you're scaling a cold calling agency motion or training a new hired SDR cohort, because do better isn't a coaching strategy. AI also reduces the hidden time sinks around Outbound. HubSpot has reported AI tools cutting discovery time by about 30% and follow-up work by 20%, which compounds when you multiply it across a full outsourced sales team or a busy in-house SDR org. The best setups automatically generate call summaries, push outcomes into the CRM, and draft personalized follow-ups that match what was actually said on the call. Operationally, we recommend weekly call reviews with a consistent cadence. Pick a handful of calls per rep, identify one behavior to keep and one to change, and update the script and objection handling library as a living asset. This is how technology becomes a performance engine. Your platform captures the truth of what's happening, and coaching turns it into higher meeting conversion over time. Common mistakes that kill AI cold calling ROI and how to fix them. Chasing dials per day is still one of the fastest ways to break an outbound program. It incentivizes volume over buyer fit, encourages sloppy list usage, and creates the illusion of productivity, especially with automated dialers. The fix is to manage toward conversations and meetings. Connect rate, talk time ratio, cost per qualified conversation, and dial-to-meeting conversion tell you whether the machine is creating pipeline or just noise. Over-automating scripts is the next trap. Generative AI can create a solid first draft, but reading it verbatim makes calls sound robotic, and senior B2B buyers can hear that immediately. Use AI for structure, objection libraries, and personalization cues, then train reps to deliver it conversationally and adapt in real time based on what the prospect says. Compliance is the quiet risk that gets ignored until it's painful. High-volume dialing without strict time zone rules, DNC handling, and consent tracking can create legal exposure and brand damage, especially in telemarketing-adjacent workflows. If you're running B2B sales outsourcing or evaluating cold call services, require documented compliance guardrails, and make sure opt-outs and consent flags are centralized across your stack. Optimization, the metrics and tuning loop that separates good teams from great ones. AI makes cold calling more measurable, which means you can actually improve it like an operating system instead of a guessing game. Start by baselining your current performance against the broader market, where dial-to-meeting success averages around 2.3%. Then set a clear target for your team. Well-run programs using strong data, messaging, and coaching routinely push into the 5 to 10% plus range for meeting conversion on connects. From there, tune the system in a disciplined way. Adjust time-of-day rules by persona, rotate caller IDs to protect reputation, and refine list sourcing so your dialer is working with verified numbers rather than stale data. If connect rates don't move within 60 to 90 days, it's rarely because AI doesn't work. It's usually configuration, data hygiene, or ICP mismatch. Finally, treat multi-channel as a performance multiplier, not an afterthought. When calling is integrated with a cold email agency motion and LinkedIn outreach services, you can use call outcomes to trigger the right follow-up automatically. A recap email after a live connect, a value-based message after voicemail, or a tailored touch for call me next quarter. This orchestration is how an outbound sales agency builds momentum instead of restarting the conversation every time. Build versus outsource, choosing the fastest path to a tech-enabled outbound program. If you have the internal bandwidth, building an AI-enhanced calling motion can be a strong, long-term investment, but it's rarely just buy a tool and go. You'll need list-building services, strong operations, ongoing coaching, and the patience to iterate on messaging and segmentation. That's why many teams choose sales outsourcing or an outsourced B2B sales partner. You get a proven system, trained reps, and the operational overhead handled. At SalesHive, we've built our model around AI plus human outbound because that's what B2B buyers respond to. AI handles the repetitive work, dialing efficiency, logging, follow-up drafting, and insight extraction, while our SDRs focus on running relevant conversations that earn meetings. For teams searching for a B2B sales agency or SDR agency that can ramp quickly, this approach often outperforms piecemeal stacks because the technology, process, and coaching are designed to work together. Looking forward, generative AI's impact will keep expanding into research, personalization, scoring, and coaching at scale, with McKinsey estimating a potential productivity upside of $8 to $1.2 trillion across sales and marketing. The practical next step is simple. Pick the metrics you'll manage, conversations and meetings, run a controlled pilot, and decide whether you want to operate the engine internally or partner with a specialized outsourced sales team. Either way, the teams that standardize AI-enhanced workflows now will compound the gains over the next 12 to 24 months.